Hello, book besties. Come on in, take a seat. Don't forget your snack. It's a book and a beat. Yeah, I came up with that and I was like, yes, this is the intro. Just a little bit of a life update. I've been gone because life has been lifing. My daughter had ended up in the hospital for a few days. It was a traumatic experience for everyone involved, but she is on the road to recovery. She's doing great. And she's not 100% just yet, but we're getting there. Some of you knew that. It's because you follow my Instagram. And if you don't follow my Instagram, you are not going to know where the fuck I am half the time. So when I'm not here, I'm updating you on why I'm not here on Instagram. So go ahead and do that. It's in the description. Next, I started school. Literally right after my daughter got out of the hospital. I was just like, oh my God. It's been a lot. But anyway, so the beat is not going to be giving beats because I just am not in the mood, to be honest. I don't even want to put on makeup, but I needed an excuse to use that intro. Let's get into it while I pretend to put some makeup on. We start off with the prologue, and let's be honest, the prologue doesn't fucking matter at all. It's literally 1 page long. But basically, all you need to know is that our main character, her cat has been purring for her stalker. She wants him. And we learn that that's a problem because our main character, it's Brittany, bitch. I don't know. I'm just gonna call her Bri. She is in a religious cult, I guess. I know that people within this community refer to it as a covenant, so you do with that information what you will. This community condemns even the thought of spicy things, okay? Needless to say, Brandy is going to HE double hockey sticks. So we open up the first chapter and we realize that Brittany just graduated from the cult academy. Since she graduated, Aero has been leaving her cryptic messages and budded roses in her trash can. Romantic. Literally the definition of romance. Sometimes he'll leave like little notes on her dresser that it's either like scripture or just poems. This is a poetic king, guys. This is a poetic king. Bri claims that she knows he watches her sleep and that she hopes he's doing other things to her in her sleep. Nasty gal. Nasty. Is somebody gonna match my freak? And part of me is just like, girl, really? Like, we're having these thoughts instead of, maybe I should call 911. Maybe this isn't normal. Like, hello? What makes this even worse is that this girl is home alone. She is getting stalked and home absolutely alone because her parents are doing godly things in Africa. I don't know what they're doing. And we're never going to find out what they're doing because her parents never show up. Ever. We meet her brother, though. I believe his name was Barrett. We meet him in the first chapter, and we find out that he does not live within the confines of the covenant. He left. He was like, bitch, I'm fucking out. Kudos to him, honestly, but that meant it just put more pressure on Bri to be the godly child, you know? And it didn't help that on top of everything, like, she was considered like the devil's doll because she looked nothing like her parents. You know, she was just pale, dark hair, blue eyes, and short. And her family was tall, less pale, blonde hair. And she was just like, I just don't belong. So, you know, she always felt like she had to prove herself because her brother kind of failed her parents and she didn't look like them. And they would always like kind of side eye her. So she was like, yeah, I really need to like put my best foot forward. So she was a stellar student, meaning that when she graduated the academy, she was in the running for the She was running for bishop along with Saint Westwood. That's really the only other person you're going to need to know. Everybody else doesn't really matter. Saint is the son of Callum Westwood, one of the most influential and rich men in the community, okay? He basically funds the entire community because I don't think it's a city. It's a very small town, so we'll say town. They hate Bri because she's kind of head of Saint. He's running for bishop, but it looks like Bri is not only a woman running for bishop, but she's actually smart and she has a chance. So that means she gotta go. Part of becoming the bishop means you have to participate in an induction. You might wonder what that is. Well, we find out it's basically like a rebaptism. You're born again. They dunk you and you're born again, and now you're running for bishop. Different set of rules though. Abstinence for the rest of your life. No thoughts about spicy shit either. So we're at the induction, obviously happening at the church. I hope that it is actually called an induction. At this point, I'm just winging it. Saint isn't there because, his father was like, ew, women. Everybody's getting dunked and coming back up and, being born again. Next, it's Bri's turn, and you can kind of feel like the air shift a little bit. She notices this guy in the far, far corner of the church with his back turned to everybody, and she's like, I know it's him. We know his name. His name is Aero. I think this seems very tense, very like, oh my god, what's gonna happen next, right? And the deacon has like this lifeless look in his eyes, and he's the one dunking everybody in, and down she goes. And down she goes. Deacon doesn't plan on letting her up anytime soon. She's struggling. We're like, oh my god, what? Gasp. Is he trying to kill her? Possibly. But next thing you know, boom, there's an explosion. Did Aero possibly do it? I don't know. But all we know is from Bri's point of view, so she blacks out because she was still underwater. But they finally drag her out. That's the last thing that she sees is just like everybody on top of her. And she's like, she doesn't RIP. She just blacks out. She just goes bye-bye. She doesn't have time, okay? When she finally comes to, Barrett, her brother, he's losing it. He's like, I know it was Saint. I know he had something to do with this. Bri knows better. She saw Aero there. So she has an inkling that it was probably him and not Saint. But regardless, her brother was like, you need to confront him at this party that he's having, despite knowing that it isn't him, to kind of like solidify her place and like put her foot down and really like be like girl power. She decides to go. While she's there, they lock eyes and he walks off. She follows him. Where to? His room. Girl, she just walks up in there. I'm like, okay. They end up having a conversation and he's like, look, I never hated you. He insinuates that the hostility and the animosity was really just his way of denying feelings. I don't trust it, but she seems to eat that shit up and she's like, oh my god, my brother was right. The rest of the evening, he takes her on a tour of the house, his mansion, whatever. As they are talking, things start to look like they're heading in a different direction. And before anything can even happen or, a possible kiss, she's like, bathroom. Honestly, she just wanted to get away from him, so she just enters into some random ass room. But she walks in and guess who's there? Her stalker. Yeah, Aero. Aero's up in that bitch and he slams her against the door. All this whole theatrics of like pinning her up against the door and everything to basically tell her to run for her life. Like if she wants to survive, she needs to run for her life. She describes him to us. And I guess he's supposed to be pretty sexy, right? He is for the most part. I'm here for the dark-haired characters. I love them. I love them so much. But lost me at sulfur. He smells like sulfur. I don't know about you, but I'm not really trying to smell rotten eggs every time I sniff my man. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, the tattoos, the rings, the scars, the dark hair. I was just eating it up. Love him. But anyway, he disappeared soon after he told her to run for her life. So needless to say, that's exactly what she did. She went downstairs and she told her friend, hey, yo, we're gone because I don't want to be here anymore. So now we switch to Aero's point of view and we find out that he is actually working for this guy. He's the governor of that little town. His name is Alistair Abbott. He basically hired Aero to kill Bri. Take her out, bro. Because a woman becoming bishop? What next? A woman politician? As they're talking, here comes the huge plot twist, I guess you could call it. Aero is actually the bastard son of Callum Westwood. Yes, that's right. You heard me. Aero Westwood. Callum was doing some crazy things in the beginning of his marriage, so Saint is his younger brother. Let's just keep that in mind. And to add on to the list of information that is just being thrown at us at this moment, Alistair actually bailed Aero out of jail in order to hire him as his personal assassin. No one knows that this man is out of jail. We are in the crevices of Aero's mind. He wants her, Bri, right? Just as badly. He wants her, but like in a very dark and twisted way. He wants to break her first because he feels like they are the same. They are cut from the same cloth. We move on to later in the night and he visits her, cuts her hair, stabs her hair with a knife into her nightstand, leaves her a little note. I don't know what the hair cutting thing was for. I can't really remember. I don't think there was even a reason. I just think he wanted to because that's what Aero does. He just does what he wants to do. She wakes up, sees all this going on. She's like, oh, okay, what? Is this a warning? Is this a threat? As she starts having nasty thoughts about Aero again, and then her phone rings. Bring, bring. Okay, it's Saint. He's like, hey, I wanted to call you before it was too late, but I think we should, like, take a ride to school together. You know, like, I could pick you up. And she's like, okay, yeah. Girl, pick a side. He picks her up, and they end up going into class together. Now, here's the thing. They work together in the academy, teaching the students. So while they are looking through textbooks, Saint counts them and the count is off by some numbers. So somebody has to go get the textbooks and that somebody is Bri. So Bri, walks off and goes and gets the textbooks in a closet that's somewhere down the hall. As she's in there, Saint's bestie, he decides he's going to have his way with her. Yep. He's going to take advantage of Bri. That is what he decides. She starts feeling around and remembers that she got a knife from Aero earlier this morning. Crazy how convenient that was. Thank you, Daddy Aero. Now we switch back to Aero's point of view, and he's literally standing outside the storage closet. like hoping that she can defend herself. He's not going to step in, which is like kind of different from all the men in most of these books. They're normally like rescuing the woman, but he wants her to like stand up for herself and get thicker skin because apparently he needs her for a bigger purpose. The closet door opens up and Saint's friend, whatever the fuck his name is, starts backing out slowly, and Bri's got the knife pointed right at him. She finally makes eye contact with Aero and she's like, what the fuck? What are you doing here? Aero's like, I got it from here. Where did he touch you? She shows him where old dude touched her, and Aero then goes on to say which hand. She tells him which hand, and Aero cuts that hand off. He's like, look, you should head back to class, but just to let you know, Saint's in on this. He's the reason that this happened. So just, keep an eye out. She's a little skeptical about that. The reason that she's skeptical about this is because she goes back to class and Saint acts like he wasn't expecting anything to happen to her. Yo, somebody give this man an Oscar. Literally throughout this entire book, the man even had me fooled. I was like, wait, is he? No. In the afternoon, Saint's giving her a ride back home and asks her out to the governor's ball, which of course she says yes. Once they arrive, he kisses her hand at the door. Who's waiting for her inside the house? That's right, you guessed it, Aero. And he saw she got her hand kissed and he's like, you know what? I don't fucking like that shit. Again, reminding you, this is his little brother. It just makes the dynamic so fucking weird. I mean, even though Saint doesn't know he exists, but it's odd, This is when we kind of start to get nasty with Aero, okay? He pushes her up against the door, and this is when he licks her. He claims that he's cleaning the filth of other men off of her. Yeah, I don't know about you, but that's kind of hot. He's like, they dirtied my doll. Basically addresses himself as the devil, and she is his doll. She is the devil's doll. You get it? While he's doing all of this, he's also quoting scripture, which she's like, for someone who hates this cult or whatever the fuck it is, you seem to know a lot. Aero is filthy, and he decides to take a shower, and she's like, what the fuck did you do to old dude? And he's like, well, basically I unalived him. And she was like, oh, you know, I could call the cops, right? And he's like, go ahead, but you would have a lot of answering to do when they get here. She's like, why is that? Well, he buried old dude in her backyard, so if you need one way to shut somebody up, that's definitely one way to do it. That night ends, and we follow Aero to a nightclub a few days later. He actually knows the owner. I think they were in jail together. The guy's name is Knox. That's a name you'll want to remember. Knox hires a bunch of, we'll call them escorts, that are frequently visited by a lot of the men in this community, basically paying these women to keep their affairs and secrets hidden. I don't know how I feel about this book being so forward about all the secrets. Like, I feel like it's just kind of throwing information at us. By the time you reach the end, it kind of doesn't even fucking matter, and you're like, it's still a pretty good book, I would say. Would I have liked to have learned it with the characters instead of being told it? Yes, but whatever. So Aero goes and confronts one of these escorts. Her name, Brandy. Her name is Brandy. There we go. After some threatening, he basically gets the answers that he needs about the bishop paying her to dress up like a boy and get rammed in her rear. Ends up calling the escort Brady, which is kind of weird because it's like kind of close to Brandy, but anyway, whatever. Weird. Kind of weird. I don't know. Maybe something we should keep in our heads for later. The brows are not browing today, but it's fine. After Aero gets the information that he needs, he has her give him the Gluck Gluck 3000 with a bag over her head and pretends that it's Bri. Gross, but efficient. I guess after spending a lot of time in jail, you know, you get it how you can. So later that night, he visits Bri and they do a lovely little cat and mouse house chase, which I'm like, oh my god, can we please stop having the scene? Inevitably, she loses, he catches her, and she can't get out the house. He gets to play with her. Now, obviously, he doesn't do the full thing, you know, not yet. But he does a little something, okay? And I guess you'll just have to read the book to find out, even though I am kind of spoiling all of it for you. But the next day, Saint picks her up. They show up to school and find that Brianny is a slut for Saint, is graffitied on the wall, okay? Saint pretends to be a good guy, defending her honor and shit. The deacon comes to her later and tells her that the bishop needs to talk to her about the incident. Bri heads to his office. Lo and behold, who is kneeling in front of a pants down bishop but a little boy named Brady. Y'all, I saw it coming and I still didn't see it coming. Obviously, you know, he gets caught in the act by Bri. He doesn't finish what he was starting to do. He's starting to realize that all the men she looked up to and idolized, it's all a lie. It's all a lie. And that's what Aero wanted. That's how he wanted her to see things. He wanted her to see the truth. In her little brain, she's calculating and she's like, oh my god, Aero has been secretly protecting me all this time. I'm sorry, did the whole knife incident not give that away? Hello? And didn't he just RIP somebody for you? Okay, I'm done talking to you. The governor's ball ends up happening and, you know, Bri looks hot or whatever. And it's very fancy up in that bitch. Remember, the governor is Mr. Alistair Abbott. And like you would expect at any ball, you know, they start dancing. Crazy. I know. She ends up having to dance with the disgusting bishop and the piece of shit Callum, she ends up dancing with a man who's all too familiar in a mask, okay? And that is none other than obviously Aero. Hello, come on. After their dance, Aero heads upstairs, and of course, Bri follows him. Why wouldn't she? Look, man, some nasty shit goes on up there. I'm not gonna get into detail, but all you gotta know is Aero releases on her mouth. I can't remember. But he basically tells her, make sure to kiss your lover boy goodnight with me still on your lips. Nasty. I told you, nasty shit. She does exactly that. But she's doing a little extra. I'm not gonna lie to you. Aero didn't ask for all that. She's doing it on purpose. She wants to provoke Aero. Girl, I don't know if she expects what she got, but basically he chloroforms her ass. And then she comes to like butt ass naked in the bed, tied up, and he shows her a video of him like licking and cleaning her or whatever, and then she goes to like stab him. Apparently that's hot because she's got fight in her. Next day, there's so many next days. There's just so many fucking days in this book. There's a video, a lovely video circulating. Yes, Aero has done it again. It's a video of Saint and Bri making out, and because men can do no wrong, Bri is the slut and she is blamed. So the deacon comes up to her and is like, come on, you need to confess, which is normally not the deacon's job, right? It's the bishop's. So she's already feeling a little on edge, but it's okay because when she goes into the confessional, I think that's what it's called. Who's there? Aero. Things go down. She's like confessing her sins and all her dirty thoughts, and the deacon's like playing with himself while she's telling him that. But while she's telling him that and he's playing with himself, she's also riding Aero. Wild. It doesn't last very long because the deacon puts a gun through the hole and tries to unalive Bri. Obviously it doesn't work because Aero was there. Aero ends up taking the gun, turning it around, and RIPing the deacon. So yeah, after that they're on the run. They head up to Aero's cabin or mansion, whatever you want to call it, you know, I mean. A bunch of shit happens up there. To sum it up, Aero finally reveals his face and Bri realizes that Aero looks like the spitting image of Callum. So clearly, hello, that's his father. Bri finds out that Callum offed Aero's mom because she wasn't his wife and was planning to out him, and then tried to off Aero. He did not cease to exist, so he failed in that department. When he failed, I don't really know the chronological order of all this happening, but basically he ended up giving Aero to the bishop, and we know what the bishop does to little boys. Aero grew up in this community, just hidden from everybody else, and being abused by the bishop. Okay, so while I'm letting this bake, I'm gonna talk to you guys. He also killed Bri's mom, okay? She actually doesn't belong to that family. I know you would have never guessed by her not looking like them. And she's actually 18, not 20. This is when the whole controversy starts. People think that it's weird that Aero's like 29 and waited all this time and was like watching her. He like quotes that he like waited till she was 18 to like do stuff to her. I don't know. I mean, again, it could be what everybody else is saying and that it's weird and he's been basically preying on her for a long time. But my understanding of it is that they tried to unalive him at the same time they tried to unalive her mom, and they succeeded with her mom, not with him. He basically vowed to protect this unalived woman's daughter, and that was Bri. So it starts off more as just like a brotherly or protective. They never knew each other, but he kept an eye out for her, right? We have to remember he went to jail at some point. We don't know how long he was there, but there was a break. There was a long break where they were not seeing each other, and he just recently got out in order to unalive her. I'm thinking that he finally saw her again for the first time, and that's when he found that he had an attraction. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. It could always be the other way around. And then, you know, I mean, To each their own. She's legal now, technically, but it is weird, I guess. Within the weeks that they spend together at his place, obviously they're doing dirty shit. Did we expect anything less from them? No. Bri is also training to kill and take down these 4 men who basically run shit in the Covenant, who also abused and ruined Arrow's life. At some point, they go and visit Nox, and Nox kind of starts to provoke Aero because he notices that Arrow's really fallen for this girl and he might have a soft spot that could hurt their future plans. So he's kind of like poking and flirting with Bri. Bri plays along. She somehow gets him cuffed and on the floor, and then she defends her man. Okay, don't you dare ever try to embarrass my man in front of me. So they end up doing nasty stuff with Nox. I mean, not really with him, but kind of on top of him. A few days later, somebody bursts in, tries to unalive Aero, but Aero doesn't know how to die. He realizes that the waiting is over. It's time to take action. Now, at some point during their training, Bri brings up the fact that she thinks that Saint doesn't deserve death. He deserves worse than death. He deserves to live. To live with the stain of never being a bishop and having lost his V card to Bri. That's her plan. She wants to take his V card. Saint, Arrow's little brother. Somehow she gets Aero to agree to this shit. I don't know how she does it, but she's just not gonna enjoy it because she's doing it for the cause. Yeah, I'm so exhausted. So she ends up showing up to school, to the class that they were supposed to teach together. Everybody's looking at her all types of crazy because last everybody saw, she was just making out with Saint. Saint and his, Oscar award-winning acting, just so relieved that she's alive. Basically like, I have to protect you because there's this crazy dude running around trying to take down the Covenant. Bri, and now her award-winning acting, she's like, well, now I'm terrified. I don't want to be alone. You have to come and stay with me at my house. So Saint agrees. Just like that, he showed up to her house. And here's where the seduction began. Well, first of all, let's take a few steps back because before he showed up, Aero, you remember when he finished on her lips and wanted her to kiss Saint? This time he finished inside and then wanted her to continue to do things with his brother. I don't know. This whole thing is just weird as hell. So she's seducing Saint and she feels like she's getting somewhere. But here's the little twist. Saint has his own agenda. Remember, he's acting. None of this is real. But Bri doesn't know this. She still thinks that he might be innocent. So she feels bad for like coercing him. Whatever. Saint decides to not go through with Bri's plan. He doesn't know he's not going through with it. So Aero has to step in. He uses force. He's holding a gun up to Bri and Saint's head and is like, you two are gonna do it. What the fuck? Aero sits there, directs his younger brother on how to F his girl. Like, huh? All hell breaks loose. Aero had ended up texting Barrett, her brother. He comes storming in and he's like, oh my God, you tried to grape my sister. Apparently Barrett already knows Aero because Aero was giving him hints about, what was going on. He knew everything. What the heck? Okay, next thing you know, Callum Westwood walks up the fucking steps. Callum has his thugs beat up Aero. Bri's screaming. Guns are out. There's nothing they can do. Really. They're held at gunpoint. Nobody else has weapons. They took the weapons from Aero by threatening Bri. And yeah, it was just a mess. So Aero does give himself up. And it's on purpose. It was all part of his plan. But, oh my God. They end up taking him to Nox's club. And this is where you get fucking pissed. That dirty mother, you were pretending to be besties with him, and now you're helping these people kidnap him. and hold him in your club? What? They're joined by Alistair, the bishop, and yeah, I think Saint also joins them as well. Please, you really thought Bri wasn't gonna come after her man. So she finds a way to escape. Her and Barrett grab some guns, and thank God Knox comes outside like, finally you're here. This was all part of the plan. It was all part of the plan to show up to Knox's place because Knox can be back up and they have the advantage. Because y'all, I was so angry at Knox. And I know we're all wondering what was happening to Aero while Bri was making her way to him. Well, the bishop decided to take a walk down memory lane. So he was getting used and abused all over again. Luckily, this is when they decide, okay, so my phone died. Then my storage filled up. So this is a new day. I'm not doing shit. This is as much as you're gonna see me do. Wow, beautiful. Plus the skin is skinning, so let's just let the skin, you know? Back to what I was saying. This is when they bring out Brandy. And Brandy, she's giving Aero his last lap dance of his life because they plan on killing him afterwards. But Aero's like, I've never known Brandy to be the type of bitch that dances. Yet here she is doing the damn thing. It's like, something's not right. Lo and behold, guess who Brandy is? It's Brittany, bitch. It's Brandy. Everybody's like, oh my god. Well, we are all like that. Let me tell you something. This is what made the book a 5-star. Literally, this is it. This is what did it for me. Brandy is such a bad bitch, bro. Such a bad bitch. I don't know. That might have been really fucking loud. I'm so sorry if it was. First of all, we find out Alistair is her father. Did you see it coming? I didn't. That's her father. And she kills him because, and I quote, he was talking too much without saying anything at all. Oh, like, you go, bitch. Brianna was just embodying her Lilith in this moment, and I was living for it. She stabbed Saint's hand into a table. I forget what happened to the other two. I think the other two were left for Aero because it was the bishop, right, who like basically tormented him, and then his father, obviously. And then Saint lived. Yeah, he got to live the rest of his life just not being bishop. So now Bri and him are on the run. I'm a little confused because I don't know if they specified whether or not the cops are actually looking for them. What I do know is that they are traveling the world, planning on bringing down all the societies like this, or community. I don't know what the fuck to call it. You would think this would be happily ever after, right? End of story. No. There's one thing Bri still wants. She gives him something to drink, I think in the morning, and then suddenly he's passing out and he's like, what did you do to me? And she's like, meh. So she ended up drugging his drink. He still wanted one more thing, and that one more thing was to take back what the bishop took. We know what has to happen when two men have relations. She wanted to claim that whole. That was a fun little scene. No, but like for real, I was living for that. Like, oh my god. Needless to say, I really enjoyed this book. I'm not gonna lie to you, in the beginning it was like, considering I just read a book that I wasted so much fucking time on. I got to like 76% done with that book and I had to DNF it because ew, what the fuck, considering I did not DNF this book. And then the ending was like, and the smut was great. Yeah, it was a 5-star. It was a 5-star. I mean, did I exaggerate a little bit? Maybe it could have afforded to be a 4-star and we left it at that. But at the end of the book, the feeling that I was having was 5-star. That is it for today. Hopefully we will get back on track. It has been super hectic, but I'm still here and we are still thriving and we are still working towards it. And my TBR list is long as fuck and I am overwhelmed. Yeah, I am currently reading right now a palette cleanser because look, smut and dark romance, it's great. I like dark shit. I do. But like sometimes you need some fluff. I will see you guys when I see you guys. I don't want to make any promises. Thank you guys for being so patient and for sticking with me. And those of you who reached out through Instagram after I had posted an update, I appreciate you guys so much. And honestly, if you're here on this video, I appreciate you so much because out of all the people, you came here and you watched me. I will see you guys when I see you guys. And bye-bye now.